Hello, I'm Kim Benjamin. I am the founder of the Missouri DWI and Criminal Law Center at the Benjamin Law Firm. Our offices are located in the Kansas City metro area. We have multiple locations, and we're helping people all over the state of Missouri on certain topics. And today, this topic is about medical marijuana card holders. There are certain rights, certain issues affecting you that are specific to those of you who have these cards that I wanted to address today. One thing we're seeing in Missouri is that people who get a medical marijuana card are they're patients. They are getting basically a doctor's prescription saying there's this issue medically and this is the solution. Not opioids, not prescriptions, but this solution of marijuana. And we're noticing that, of course, as people's minds are changing and we're being more educated about the science of cannabis. We are learning that cannabis is much safer for us than prescription medications. For example, on the addiction issue, opioid addiction versus marijuana addiction, or maybe lack thereof, as some people argue there is no addiction when it comes to marijuana or cannabis. But the benefit it gives you, the way it affects your body physically, the way it affects your mind mentally, the way opioid addiction has blown up in the United States, as we're noticing that people are becoming more and more addicted, and it's leading to really a lot of deaths and heroin addiction and other things that are happening due to just an innocent subscription and sometimes, or excuse me, prescription, innocent prescription by your doctor, and sometimes not so innocent. Sometimes there's doctors that are pushing this drug on people. We're noticing, at least over the last decade, we've noticed people are getting more and more prescriptions for something that's pretty dangerous. And so there's been a pushback from the public of, don't give me opioids, what are my alternatives? Including me. I've specifically said, I don't want that. What are my alternatives that are less addictive or less dangerous to my body? And so, so medical marijuana is an opportunity for people in this state and in some other states, obviously, to use cannabis as a prescription for medical needs. And so when you get your card and you're then faced with other issues, you need to know some of these issues are out there. We are noticing that there are people that are feeling that they cannot possess guns, or if they admit to a medical marijuana card, they're going to be denied a valid gun sale because the federal government's going to get in the way and say, no, you can't have a gun, you can't purchase this gun because you have a medical marijuana card. These things are happening. And just to clarify what the rules are, if you're filling out a document for the federal government to look at you as a potential gun owner, gun holder, purchase of a gun, you need to read that document very carefully. Don't just check boxes and sign off and think you're scot-free. If it asks you a question and you lie, you are committing a federal crime. So don't lie. Read the document very carefully. Read the fine print that says, by signing this document, you attest that A, B, C, right? Read this document very carefully and don't lie. And just know there are alternatives to how you become a gun owner or in possession of guns or get to go hunting, for example. In Missouri, you get a hunting license. You're not going to be impeded from getting a hunting license just because you have a medical marijuana card, because our Missouri legislature is trying to take care of you and make sure that if you're a patient with cannabis, you are not necessarily denied all the other opportunities like fishing license, hunting license, that kind of thing. But the federal government is where there's some disconnect we want you to be aware of. So do not lie on any document that asks you questions. Tell the truth and consider that you have alternative sources of ownership. You can own guns that you buy validly from other individuals, that you inherit maybe your father or your mother passes guns down, or it's a gift from a family member who is not a medical marijuana card holder and they can give you a gift. So it's not illegal to own. It's just don't lie on these documents, even though you might be upset that the federal government says nope and stamps your application denied because you've admitted to the truth that you have a medical marijuana card. Just know there are alternative methods to obtain legally a gun. Just because you're a medical marijuana card holder, does not mean it's illegal to go hunting or to possess a gun for your own safety. So we want you to be aware that you should be getting specific legal advice from a lawyer. Don't just assume you're safe or assume you're not safe to be in possession of a gun. If you are a medical marijuana card holder, like I said, it's clear, don't lie on the federal forms, but you want to make sure that you're not violating Missouri law or federal law and you need some advice, you should be consulting with an attorney for your specific circumstances, your specific story, for what you're possessing, how you're possessing it, where you're storing it, gun safes versus storage shed versus in the glove box of your car. All of these things matter. So talk to a lawyer about your specific situation to get valid advice, and don't just assume you're either not safe or are safe. Don't assume a blanket answer to any situation. The other thing we're noticing, in addition to people wanting to possess guns or go hunting, is that medical marijuana card holders are being treated differently across the state when it comes to criminal consequences. We are seeing that people in possession of cannabis, our medical marijuana card holders, are being arrested for violating the current Missouri law, which is that it's illegal to possess marijuana or an oil or a wax or a soda or a gummy or a brownie or whatever the item is that has cannabis in it. They are being arrested, and you still can get in trouble for trafficking, which means distributing, whether you make money or not, marijuana. If you're a card holder, it doesn't give you carte blanche to share the products. You do need to possess them lawfully within the parameters of how much you're allowed to have or how much you're allowed to grow. And again, get specific information from a lawyer who can educate you about what those parameters are, and who's allowed to possess and who's allowed to grow. Make sure you're following the law. But when it comes to being arrested we've seen people arrested for having marijuana in their car, having a medical marijuana card, and being charged with possession of marijuana. It is happening and it has happened. And so we want to make sure you're aware that the smartest thing you can do is talk to a lawyer about, what are my rights? What do I need to do to prevent getting arrested or charged? What do I need to do to prevent getting accused of driving under the influence of marijuana? What do I need to do to prevent myself being charged with, for example, a recent case we've noticed, being accused of child endangerment for having marijuana in my vehicle that I'm not ingesting. It's not in my system. It's in my vehicle. I'm in possession of it, and I have my child in the back seat, and the drug was nowhere near that child. It wasn't like it was laying in the lap of the child, just like you wouldn't open a can of beer and set it in front of the child to drink. It was the same situation, but the person was accused of child endangerment. Had to hire a lawyer, had to fight the case, had to post bond, had to sit in jail for some time. I mean, we don't want these things happening to you. So be aware it is happening out there in some of our counties to some people. Be prepared. If you're driving across the state, you need to know what the rules are and what your rights are, and how to hopefully help yourself, prevent yourself from ever being charged or arrested for violating the possession statute or the trafficking statute, certainly. Because you can really get in trouble for trafficking still and distribution still. So we want to help you prevent that. The third area and the final area I want to talk to you about today is there are people in our community who are on probation to a judge with a probation officer, whether it be a state probation and parole officer, or they're on a private probation with a private company, or maybe they're not on probation, but they're on parole. There are rules that the Missouri State Probation and Parole Office, for example, and individual judges. Keep in mind, we have over 400 courts in Missouri, counting all of our municipal courts. We have Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, all these county circuit courts, associate courts within that, and then municipal courts within that. There's over 400. So there's over 400 different judges enforcing their rules and their laws on you. And it can feel unfair because sometimes you have 400 different answers as to what's going to happen to you. But if you're on probation or parole right now, you have to be complying with the rules. And if your probation or parole officer tells you that we have an internal policy and rule that you cannot ingest marijuana, and we're going to do drug tests to confirm that you're not, and even if you have a medical marijuana card, we're going to find you in violation of your probation or your parole, you need to know that, and you need to talk to a lawyer about what you can do, if anything, to protect yourself from being in violation, because violation equals potentially going back to jail or prison. And we don't want that for people. The other thing you need to know is the judge does have the power and could tell you that you are not allowed to ingest this medication as prescribed by this doctor. And literally, we have heard stories of judges saying, don't you smoke marijuana, don't you ingest any sort of cannabis or THC, but go ahead and take the opioids, go ahead and take whatever the doctor prescribes you for pain. You're not in violation if you do that. All of us know how ludicrous and stupid that is, because opioids are so much more dangerous than any form of cannabis could be. We know that scientifically, we know that medically, and still, unfortunately, the law has not caught up to what we know, and neither has judges' opinions has it caught up. And certainly the federal government having a law against cannabis and marijuana is why certain judges will kind of hang their hat on this issue of, you're not going to violate federal law while on probation to me. Okay. But to actually have them tell you to go ahead and ingest opioids just because it's a prescription, that is, as we all know, a dangerous, dangerous situation for people. And so please understand your rights, understand the issues that are affecting you, even if you're a medical marijuana card holder, and consult with an attorney to understand specifically what you need to be doing to protect you, to protect your family, to protect yourself from arrest, and all of that. And feel free to reach out to us at www.dwicriminallawcenter.com. You can book an appointment for a consultation to determine what your rights are and to receive legal advice. While you may not be charged with a crime and need us to defend you, you may want to hire us to do a full legal analysis for you of what are your rights, what are the ways to protect yourself, protect your family, and prevent criminal charges from coming. And we're happy to do a full legal analysis of your situation, of the law, of your situation, put it all together for you and tell you hopefully what you can do to prevent criminal charges from coming. So feel free to reach out to us at the website and book an appointment, or contact us at the website. There's a contact us option as well. Thank you very much.